In 1910, being a radiologist was practically a death sentence. The same machines meant to save lives were killing their operators. Doctors would watch their hands slowly deteriorate, their skin crack and peel, as invisible rays slowly destroyed their bodies. But one man, working alone in his lab, was about to change everything. His name, William Coolidge, and chances are you've never heard of him, even though his invention has likely saved your life, or the life of someone you love. Born in 1873 on a modest Massachusetts farm, William Coolidge's early life gave no hint of the revolution he would spark in modern medicine. But beneath the surface of this ordinary New England upbringing lay an extraordinary mind. Young William had an insatiable curiosity about how things worked, spending countless hours tinkering with farm equipment and reading every science book he could get his hands on. His family scraped together enough money to send him to MIT, where he worked as a lab assistant to earn extra money, a humble beginning that would shape his future approach to experimental science. After graduating top of his class in 1896, Coolidge did something unprecedented for a farm boy from Massachusetts. He convinced a German university to accept him for graduate studies. At Leipzig, he worked under Paul Drude, one of Europe's leading physicists, earning his PhD in 1899. While his peers sought prestigious academic positions, Coolidge made an unusual choice. He joined the newly formed General Electric Research Laboratory, a place where theoretical physics met practical engineering. It was a decision that would change the course of medical history, though no one knew it at the time. What set Coolidge apart wasn't just his brilliant mind. It was his relentless patience and methodical approach to problem solving. He believed that every failed experiment was just one step closer to success, a philosophy that would prove crucial in the years ahead. In the early 1900s, X-ray machines were more like time bombs than medical devices. The crude gas tubes used to generate X-rays were unreliable at best and lethal at worst. They would work one moment and fail the next, deliver too much radiation or too little, with no way to control the output. Doctors and technicians were flying blind, quite literally gambling with their lives. The death toll among radiologists was staggering. By 1910, dozens of X-ray pioneers had already died from radiation exposure, their bodies ravaged by burns, cancer, and tissue decay. The prevailing gas-based X-ray tubes were like wild animals, impossible to tame. They required constant adjustments, frequently broke down, and produced inconsistent results that made accurate diagnosis difficult. The medical community was desperate for a solution, but the challenge seemed insurmountable. The key material needed, tungsten, was considered impossible to work with. Known as the most stubborn metal on Earth, tungsten was brittle and uncooperative. Countless scientists had tried and failed to make it malleable enough for practical use. The problem wasn't just technical, it was also a race against time. Every day that passed without a solution meant more healthcare workers exposed to deadly radiation, more inaccurate diagnoses, more lives at risk. Coolidge faced skepticism from all sides. His colleagues thought he was wasting his time. His supervisors at GE were growing impatient. Even he sometimes wondered if he was chasing an impossible dream. Coolidge's breakthrough came through sheer persistence and methodical experimentation. While others had tried to work with tungsten for hours or days, Coolidge spent years. He developed a revolutionary process to make tungsten ductile, something the scientific community had deemed impossible. His technique involved working with the metal at incredibly precise temperatures, purifying it to levels never before achieved, and mechanically treating it through a series of carefully orchestrated steps. But making ductile tungsten was only half the battle. Coolidge then had to incorporate this new material into a completely redesigned X-ray tube. His invention, now known as the Coolidge tube, was revolutionary in its simplicity and reliability. Unlike the temperamental gas tubes of the past, his design offered precise control over the X-ray beam. The key was a heated tungsten filament that released electrons in a controlled manner, combined with a tungsten target that could withstand the intense bombardment without breaking down. When he first demonstrated his tube in 1913, the results were astounding. The images were clearer than anything previously achieved. The radiation output was completely controllable, and most importantly, it was safe, both for operators and patients. The medical community was initially skeptical. It seemed too good to be true. But as word spread and more doctors began using the new tubes, the evidence became undeniable. For the first time, X-ray imaging became a precise, reliable tool rather than a dangerous gamble. Coolidge continued refining his invention, working tirelessly to improve its performance. He would often spend 16-hour days in his laboratory, testing and adjusting until everything was perfect. His dedication paid off. The Coolidge tube worked flawlessly, time after time. Despite revolutionizing medical imaging and saving countless lives, Coolidge's name gradually faded into obscurity. Several factors contributed to this historical oversight. First, his invention came at a time when the world was on the brink of World War I, and news of scientific achievements was often overshadowed by war headlines. Second, Coolidge was notoriously modest and focused more on improving his invention than promoting himself. He gave few public speeches and rarely sought publicity, preferring to let his work speak for itself. The corporate nature of his work also played a role. As an employee of General Electric, many of his achievements were attributed to the company rather than to him personally, while other inventors of the era became household names through self-promotion and public demonstrations. Coolidge remained in his laboratory, continuously working to improve his innovations. The scientific community's tendency to focus on initial discoveries rather than practical improvements also contributed to his overshadowing. Wilhelm Röntgen, who first discovered X-ray, became the name associated with the technology, while Coolidge, who made it practical and safe, was often relegated to technical footnotes. As newer technologies emerged and the medical field continued to advance, the story of the man who made modern X-ray imaging possible became increasingly obscured. His modest nature, combined with the corporate environment he worked in and the historical focus on initial discoveries rather than practical innovations, led to his contributions being underappreciated by the general public. Today, every hospital, dental office, and medical imaging center in the world relies on technology that evolved from Coolidge's breakthrough. His basic design remains the foundation of modern X-ray tubes, virtually unchanged after more than a century. The impact extends far beyond medicine. His work with tungsten revolutionized lighting technology, leading to more efficient light bulbs that saved enormous amounts of energy. During both World Wars, his X-ray technology was crucial for treating wounded soldiers and for industrial applications, like detecting flaws in aircraft parts. The annual number of lives saved by medical imaging technology is in the millions. Every time a broken bone is set correctly, a tumor is detected early, or a dental problem is diagnosed. We're seeing Coolidge's legacy in action. His story teaches us something crucial about innovation. Sometimes, the most important breakthroughs come not from flashy initial discoveries, but from the quiet, persistent work of making something practical and reliable. In our modern world of self-promotion and instant gratification, Coolidge's dedication to solving problems rather than seeking fame offers an important lesson. He showed that true innovation often requires patience, persistence, and the willingness to tackle seemingly impossible challenges. As we face new technological challenges in the 21st century, perhaps we need more inventors like William Coolidge. People willing to work tirelessly behind the scenes to turn promising ideas into practical solutions that save lives. His story reminds us that some of humanity's greatest heroes are the ones whose names we might not know, but whose work touches our lives every single day.